Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast. I am your host, Kevin Bradley, joined as always by
Kevin Gallagher. Here I am.
Yeah, and today you might be noticing there's more meat on screen than you might be used to. There's more man on screen. We're continuing our string of really big guests. We've got one of the hottest grapplers in the world right now, both physically and in terms of how fast he can choke you unconscious. A fellow Jersey boy, fellow export of the Garden State, and just an all-around badass, Nick Rodriguez. Nick, how you doing?
What up, guys? Doing well, man. Happy to be here.
Cool, man. Cool, man. It's not very often that I feel like very beta and inferior when I'm on a show. I mean, there's something about Nick being around that kid just makes you like cower away. even the toughest guys in the room tend to fucking sit back and just let Nick have his way.
To be honest, I was tempted to try and do like 70-pound shrugs and just like see what I could do, what kind of pump I could get, but I realized it was not going to be worth it. Now, Nick, I know that myself and Kevin will really want to get into a bunch of jiu-jitsu questions, wrestling, hear more about you. But I just drove out of Manahawkin actually, and so I'm get filled with Jersey energy, and I kind of just want to do some Jersey specific questions that I don't think anyone's ever asked you before. Is that cool?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay. All right. First off, Bon Jovi or Springsteen?
I guess Bon Jovi. Just
a guess. Man, really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of young. You guys.
I thought you'd be a little bit young for that question. I mean, I thought that was like a Jersey thing. I didn't figure you know who Bon Jovi or Springsteen was.
I hung out with a bunch of old heads.
Yeah. No, I know the names, not the music.
Okay, well, all you need to know is that Bruce Springsteen looks like he lifts more. If that helps.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's probably it for the Jersey. We'll stow the Jersey questions because I don't want to show your age. A lot of it was just going to be about like the Tappan Zee and how it.
That's cool, man.
But yeah, so how you doing, man? You're coming off of your grapple with Luke Rockhold. How did that go for you?
Yeah, it was good, man. I got the win. I didn't get the sub like I wanted to, but it was a pretty dominant match. I kind of just manhandled him, hand fought, took him down whenever I wanted to. It was good. It's a pretty clear victory. I'm taking a break right now. I have like 6 weeks of no competition. Just get body repaired, recovered, and as soon as February comes around, it's going to be a lot of competition. Man, I have like 2 things lined up right now, but I have a bunch of offers in the door, so it's going to be busy for the upcoming months.
You didn't do Nogi Worlds this year?
No, actually, I got like a tattoo, like say we get Nogi Worlds, so I was like, it's not that. And I'm really like, I'm not competing for free, so.
I hear you. I hear you. I know you went out last year and you wanted a blue belt.
Yeah, I mean, I figured you might want to go out. I did that because I need to build a name for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a name now, so
right now. Yeah. I feel you on that a little bit too, man. To tell you the truth, I was gonna go do the Nogi Worlds. Like, I still want to win it at black belt just because that's my thing. You know what I'm talking about. I know it's masters, but I still want to be able to say I'm a black belt world champion just because I want that notch on my belt. But at the end of the day, like, I don't give a fuck about the fucking Nogi Worlds anymore. Like, it's cool and it's cool to say for like my mindset, but like it means fucking nothing anymore.
Yeah.
And it's so ridiculously like tilted the rules, and I used to be Mr. IBJJF. Anymore I'm just like, man, fuck this bullshit. You have to, everything has to work. You have to get like, unless you're Nick Rodriguez, a freak amongst men in the blue belt division, but you have to have like certain things happen and go your way and get a few good calls and not get caught up in a dumb like advantage just to be able to make it to the finals in that tournament. But anyway, man, so I was gonna ask you a few questions about your fight with what the hell is his name? Luke Rockhold.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I know he talked a lot of trash. Like, he talked a lot of trash about his superior wrestling and how he was going to be able to take you down. He wasn't going to be able to handle you and all these other things like that. And I was a bit surprised at the lack of activity he showed during that.
Yeah,
what did you think about that?
Well, I definitely didn't anticipate him to just like kind of stall the whole time and bait me into taking a bad shot so he can
Right.
get a rear naked or a guillotine choke.
Because I mean, that's not the game plan he came with, and he came with this whole talk about how he was gonna he was gonna take you down, he was gonna do all this shit. And then he comes out there, fainting the freaking single leg, so you can get caught in something stupid,
Yeah, I mean, I was just disappointed. I think in the sub, it's pretty hard to sub somebody that kind of just plays defense the whole time.
Right.
I think if he was a little more active, the sub would have came within the time limit. But no, I mean, you kind of just baited me to take his leg, and I'm I try to be a smart grappler. I'm not gonna just play into somebody else's game plan.
Right.
It's my house when you're in there. You play by my rules. So,
and plus the fact that to a certain extent, you're and not necessarily the champ, but you're the one there to be beaten. He came up and called your ass out. You know what I mean? You're the one on top of the world. He's maybe on top of the world somewhat, maybe not so much anymore, but somewhat in the MMA world. But this is your world. He's coming in here to challenge the jiu-jitsu community, so he needs to be bringing the fight to you. And you did the Nick Rodriguez game plan, man. You beat him up, you bring him down, you get that snatch, and then whenever you're ready, when they start breaking down, you come for your shots. That's what you do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I was just kind of a bit disappointed in the lack of effort that Luke Rockhold was using to bring the fight. I even thought at certain point he should have just realized, hey, but there's no way I'm taking this gorilla down. It's just not going to happen. Let me just pull guard and see what happens. You know what I mean? He's obviously superior, the superior jiu-jitsu athlete when you talk about technique. And I don't mean that as any disregard to you, but you know what I mean? He should be more technically savvy in his jiu-jitsu game than you are at this point. So why not say, screw it, I want to win this thing. I'm not going to get into a freaking wrestling match that I'm not going to win. Let me just pull guard and whatever happens, happens.
Pride kills, man.
Pride
kills all the time. Yeah. I mean, he just had a little too prideful. I mean, pulling guard is cool and all. For me, my preference, if you stand with me, that's what I like.
Right.
So if you're gonna give me what I want, then it's gonna be easy for me, bro.
Right, but the point being is he wasn't even attempting to take you down. It didn't even look like he figured he at the end he had one or two lame ass shots on you, but he wasn't. He should have been doing that the whole match. You can't do that with a minute left. You know what I mean? You need to break into that and keep going, but he didn't want no part of that. My point is this, if you're totally don't think you're going to freaking win by a takedown and you have to win by submission, because again, it's a submission only match. Why not freaking pull guard and go from there? I mean, you were actively trying to pursue takedowns. He wasn't really doing much of anything.
Yeah. I mean, I thought he was going to pull guard. When I talked to the whole team, we all thought we anticipated him pulling guard early. But whatever, we adapt and we get the win no matter what.
Personally, I gotta assume that he got in there and you were such a physical freak of nature with such a massive amount of skill. It probably gave him Yoel Romero flashbacks. And it just kind of psyched him out a little bit. What's he doing here?
Yeah, nobody really understands the level of hand fighting that I bring to the table. Once I get my hands on you, it's like when I want to snap you down and when I want your face to hit the mat, your face is gonna hit the mat.
Dude, I see that. I'm a pretty large person. You know what I mean? I'm not big, but I'm a pretty big guy. I got big shoulders. I'm about 6 foot tall. I have a broadness to me. When I stand next to you, you just dwarf me. and then you take your shirt off and it's it's all rock. There's nothing to you. There's not a piece of I'm telling you, I've seen this kid up close quite a few times, and he is every bit of the athletic machine that you think he is. And then we watch you on Instagram doing one-arm somersaults like you're a freaking gymnast. And it's one of the more impressive things I've seen in a long time is your athleticism, and not just your athleticism, your understanding at the level of understanding that you have of winning, and it's got a lot to do with your confidence.
Dude, I mean, I think the best way to get good at any competition is just compete. You can be a gym warrior. You can practice, but unless you have 100, 200, 300, 100 matches under your belt, you're just a hobbyist, bro. If you ask all the greats, I was talking to Gordon not too long ago, and just to get a perspective on what it takes to be at that level, I was like, dude, how many matches have you had before black belt? He's like, literally close to 1,000. And I was like, all right, that's a couple hundred matches a year. He's only been around jiu-jitsu eight years or so. I don't know the exact time, but 1,000 matches in a short period of time, that's a lot of experience. And that's why he got to where he's gotten. That's why I'm where I am. I have almost almost 60 matches, and I'm going to year 2. So we're going to ramp up the competition, the quality of competition, the amount of competition, and we're going to see where we're at next ADCC.
That's cool, man.
Now, with the Rockhold fight or the Rockhold match fresh in your head, how would you compare it to what is without a doubt your other highest profile match, which was against Cyborg this past year? Like, how did those two different athletes match up against each other?
Anytime you're going against another jiu-jitsu practitioner that their one job is to submit you, it's always going to be a lot harder than somebody that has a mixed martial arts career. You know, it's a lot more to focus on, and you're not as focused on specifically jiu-jitsu. So Luke Rockhold, it just really wasn't that big of a deal as far as like, you know, how to get the win. Because he's not very complicated grappler.
Yeah, you didn't have as many things to be concerned about as you did with Cyborg. There's many options for him to go for submissions and savvy in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, when it came to Rockhold, I just knew, you know, get out the guard and stay out the front head stuff. So that's pretty much what I stood on. If I keep around that, I know I was going to win. Coming to Cyborg match, talking about that, I mean, Cyborg's tough, you know, but again, I just had the game plan to get on top and stay on top. Next time I see him, obviously I'll be more technical. I'm getting better at every week, you know. I really am, and I don't know. I could definitely see myself submitting, you know, Cyborg and that caliber of athlete within a year or two. I just have to sharpen my tools, man. Focus on getting to the back, getting to my advantageous positions a little bit faster. And so it gives me more time to work.
Dang. Well, you've obviously taken the sport by storm, and I have no doubt that had you started anywhere, you would have eventually become the success you are now. But how much of your current situation would you attribute to what you bring to the table, what your teammates bring to the table, and like what John Danaher brings to the table? Like, how much of that environment helped you become who you are?
It really is an accumulation of everything, you know. I practice at Henzo's, you know, with the Death Squad 4 or 5 plus times a week, and you know, anything has to do with jiu-jitsu, we have our own curriculum over there, so people don't know what to expect unless you're competing against a Renzo Gracie guy. We move differently. And I think just the quality of practices that we get in there is just it gives us a tremendous advantage when it comes to competition. And then on top of that, you know, I train at Rutgers with the NJRTC and Rutgers Wrestling twice a week, and that just gives me, you know, keeps me sharp on the feet, keeps me learning, and keeps me aggressive, man. If I'm not gonna beat you with technique, I'm gonna outwork you, and I'm gonna break you mentally before I break you physically.
Yeah, there's, you know, again, I'll say this 100 times, and I always say this. I don't think there's anything on the planet that is tougher than a very legit D1 wrestler. I don't think that if I had to pick across the board and don't know anything about anyone, I look in the room and there's like one guy does jiu-jitsu, one guy does this, one guy does that, and I got to pick the guy I want in my back. It's probably going to be the D1 wrestler. Like, there's just something about those guys that are freaking cut from a different mold because they've grown into that field. So like, you have that aggression, you have that grind, you have that fighting, you have that like living through the suck kind of vibe.
Yeah, I go out of my way for adversity, you know, as far as, you know, finding great practice partners.
Right.
Like, you know, I moved up to New York to train with these guys, and I'm still training at Rutgers twice a week, and it just gives me that mental advantage to say, like, listen, I'm practicing with the best in jiu-jitsu and the best in wrestling. So both locations, no matter what position we're in, I feel comfortable, I'm confident, I'm gonna get up and out and get on top whenever I can.
So let me ask you a question about that, because that's an interesting turn that I was going to kind of lead to. So I talk about you a lot and one of the things that really like impresses me the most about you is like your supreme confidence that you have in yourself. And I mean this in a sense because I know you as a person, and I know that the confidence isn't arrogance, and there's a difference between that, because arrogance is weakness. Your confidence comes from a true belief in yourself in every avenue that you walk in. You know, you're freaking want to be a male model, get yourself be a male model. You don't care, take your shirt off. Why? Because I can. You know what I mean, right? You want to go out and be a jiu-jitsu practitioner, I'm going to go do it because that's what I can do. Why? Because I can, because I'm that confident in myself to be able to do that. So do you feel like that confidence is something that is more God-given to you, or because you align yourself and do the right things that put yourself in the right position to be that confident, but i.e. finding great training partners to train with, to push yourself better, eating right and, training hard as you do and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a learned aspect. So I know some people that are born with confidence. I was born with work ethic, not confidence. So I apply my work ethic to anything I want in life, and throughout the work ethic, that builds confidence because I have success because of my work. So, I mean, it's definitely a learned aspect. I'm not one to sit and wait for opportunities to come to me. I make opportunities. When it came to the male model, to the fitness modeling stuff, I filled out that willing the application. I got signed on my own. I was driving up to New York, a couple times a week to get signed, do photo shoots. Same thing with jiu-jitsu, man. I worked my way up the Hensel Gracie rank and traveled my ass off to get to Danaher's classes, and it pays off, man. I think just being consistent in your craft builds confidence, because the more time you spend on it, the better you're going to be at it.
Man, kid, I'm more impressed with you every time I talk to you, man. You're such a good kid, dude. that is honestly 100% Nick, like the things that champions say. And I mean that to tell you that, not because I want to like pat you on your back, but man, that's when you talk about what a champion means and what a champion is going to do, and he's going to stand by what he says, and the things that turn you into a champion, that's it, kid.
Well, I appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah, man. Cool.
I mean, I kind of want to pat you on the back just because, like, I've never patted a gorilla on the back before. And I just kind of want to see how the muscles work.
Kev, he's so big. He could, like, put you on his shoulder.
I know.
Like carry
you look like a little damsel next to him in that picture.
I do. When I stand next to him, I look like I could just, like, nuzzle up with him.
I'm like, dude, you got to get away. He's going to King Kong you up that tower, man. Like, he's done. Now, Nick, since you've defeated Luke Rockhold in one area of his life, grappling, are you now gonna try and like become the next big Ralph Lauren model and just sort of dominate that aspect of his life too? Or
Dude,
you're gonna leave him alone for a little bit.
I'm not one to turn down opportunities, so if Polo hits me up, I'll definitely answer them.
What is okay now here? How about this? What does the signature Nick Rodriguez Ralph Lauren fragrance smell like? Like what are we working with here?
I don't know. You gotta ask the ladies, man. Whatever they like.
Whatever the ladies like. That's good, man. That's funny. So what?
Oh man!
I mean, I know you got a bunch of super fights coming up. I know you're going to be on Kasai, and I know you're going to be on a couple other things coming up. And you're probably booked solid in super fights until you don't want to have super fights anymore. I'm sure every freaking promotion would like to have you on there to sell their fight at this point. But what are some of the things you're planning on in the future? Because obviously you're not just going to be a jiu-jitsu athlete for the rest of your life. Like, do you have any plans for things that you want to do that you're kind of building your notoriety towards to work on to the next step, i.e. like MMA? I know you were looking at some professional wrestling stuff. I think you would be an amazing professional wrestler. Maybe
I have some stuff in the back of my mind. I'm still, I still have to build my name, build my brand. But I wouldn't mind the whole WWE thing. Maybe some acting classes. I want some gyms in my names. I have a lot of aspirations. I can tell you about my fucking plans all day, but I'll let you know after it happens. Then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. Just I feel like you can do whatever you want to, and I think you believe you can do whatever you want to. And it goes back because it's not because you have the belief in yourself, because you believe in, you trust in hard work. If I want to do something, I work my ass off for it. Even if it doesn't happen, at least I can't say I didn't try. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, man.
My dog, bro. Kev, what you got, man? Any other questions, man?
I'm just thinking the years 2099. Dr. Nick Rodriguez becomes the first man to accept the Nobel Peace Prize without wearing a shirt. He's ripped as hell.
Just like the Chippendales bow tie on.
Just the Chippendale, like the cufflinks. That's the look. Yeah.
That's the look right there.
Yeah. Well, actually, just real quick, since like, I know you've I know you expressed interest in a rematch with Pat Downey, like in some sort of grappling rule set. Yeah, March is happening. Are there any sort of fights like that you're looking for, like sort of off the beaten path opponents, like wrestling guys, MMA guys, like anyone in mind?
I actually have I'm trying to set something up with one of DC's training partners. Right, I want a bunch of big fights. I want a lot of MMA guys. I feel like their styles kind of align well with me as far as being entertaining, because these guys all want to attack more. And same me for me, whoever's attacking me, I want to go to all things, get my points that way as well. But I'm just trying to get a bunch of super fights. I like it's a very hazy middle ground between jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and kind of the scrambles that it creates. It's interesting, man. When both kind of athletes are attacking, it makes for an interesting scramble, because nobody really knows what to expect. We're kind of predicting the wrestlers to turn a certain way, and it's the same thing vice versa. Wrestler guys are expecting jiu-jitsu guys to roll a certain way, and they're just it's a completely different feel, so it makes for an interesting matchup, man.
Yeah, man, I like the wrestling crossovers. I think it's cool to see, for the fact that at least it's bringing a new market into the jiu-jitsu market. It's bringing more eyes on professional jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu, as big as it is, it's an infant in compared to the size of what wrestling is internationally. Yeah. So if we can start getting some more of those people to look at jiu-jitsu, it's just more to build the sport and more action. And then you get jiu-jitsu guys thinking of crossover, because it don't take long. This. No. For Pat Downey at the wrestling level that he is, to become extremely proficient in jiu-jitsu is maybe a year.
You know what though, man? It takes a different kind of wrestler. Because I'm telling you, like, my opinion, Pat Downey is not going to make a good transition to jiu-jitsu, just since he's not a mat wrestler. Right. The guys that transition row are the guys that are decent or proficient on the feet, but when it comes top bottom, they can get up and off the mat when somebody's on top, and when they are on top, they can ride boots, they can turn, they can pin. Those are the guys that do really well in jiu-jitsu. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I can see where you're talking with that, and there's definitely an art form to being a rider, to be able to keep those people on their knees when they're on the mat and wrestling. Well, dude, man, I think we got enough to let you go. Me and Kev will talk for a little bit, man. I appreciate you coming on, dude. It's fucking awesome.
Sounds good.
To see you, dude. I mean, Kev, unless you got anything else you want to talk about, man, I think we're just gonna freaking oogle at you and freaking
yeah, no, I'm like when you go, I'm just gonna pull up my Nick Rodriguez folder on my computer. And Kev, Kev, I love you, but you're not a looker, so it was nice to have something like.
I got a little. Nick knows I got some skills. Me and Nick have hit the town, but I got a little something going on. I ain't Nick Rodriguez, but I can spit some game with the best of them.
Yeah, but Nick, like, just for real, just as a fan, it was a great opportunity to meet you. Loved hearing more of your thoughts, and hopefully we see you again sometime.
Real quick before we leave, man, I can't remember the sounds of joy that were on Kevin's voice when I told him I could get Nick Rodriguez on the show. I mean, his little eyeballs. He was so excited when the words.
I'm just
Rodriguez.
Like,
I was like, I mean, I could text him. He might not text me back, but I'll text him and see what's up. He might say no.
But Kev, if Nick Rodriguez talks to me, then maybe my wish to be big and jacked will come true. I'll be 7 feet tall.
Hey, kid, I appreciate your time, brother. Man. All right, man. We'll talk to you later, brother. See you, man.
Thanks as always, man.
Yeah. See you, dude. Huh, that was cool, man.
Gosh, what a dude. What a dude.
I tell you, man.
It's so weird. You got to stop doing that. You can't call him kid. He's a gorilla.
I call everybody kid.
He looks like he's 35 and he's been lifting since the dawn of time. You call me kid.
He's such a good person, and he kind of gets this people have this opinion of him. He's this kind of cocky, arrogant kid, and he's not. He's just a harsh competitor, and he's very confident in himself. But when you talk to him, you really get to know that man, he's really I've hung out with him, I've been out with him, stuff like that. He's such a good, authentic, really good, good kid. You can tell he comes from a good family and stuff.
I mean, yeah, he's just a dude who lifted weights and went after it
Right.
and all the stuff he wanted to do, and
Yeah, but he's
it
driven
happened
more
for
than
him.
that. He's driven more than just some fucking he gives the appearance of just like some bro. You know what I mean? He's really really far.
Oh
from
no,
that.
it's all
Really,
you
really far
don't
from that.
get that.
No, you don't get that.
You don't get. It's easier to talk to him now,
Right.
about him now that he's not here.
Exactly.
But you when you do talk to him, you get the sense that this is a guy who knows exactly what he's putting out there.
Right,
Not just
exactly.
like what he wants, but what he knows how a certain number of people are going to see him.
Yeah.
And the people that he knows need that type of person to get inspired will get inspired by it. Some good will be generated.
Right.
Like everything you hear about Gordon, like if you just followed Gordon's Instagram page, you would assume this guy is an egomaniac psycho.
Right.
Like is funny dude, but like when you hear the fans talk about him and their interactions, it's like, yeah, he's the nicest guy.
He's a pretty cool
ever.
kid. He's another pretty cool guy, dude. I've like he's got me in the Henzos to train with him before and stuff like that, and sat down and talked and things like that. I mean, if you're that good at jiu-jitsu, you can't be that big of an asshole, man. The dedication, level of dedication, the level of mental intuition and insightfulness it takes to become that proficient at jiu-jitsu means that you're not a shitty person, and if you are in the beginning stages, you grow into a better person just for what the hell it takes to get that black belt. You have no, I mean, it's a grinding mental and physical game that lasts for almost 10 12 years. In Gordon's case, he got it 5 or 6, but it was the time served of 10 12 years for him.
Well, anyway, it's all, I think it's like he did 10 to 12 years worth of learning on the mat. Nick was talking about like 1,000 matches.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Just like that level of he condensed it. Basically.
Man, I saw Gordon compete when he weighed like 160 pounds, 170 pounds. He was like a little string bean. He won a submission only. It was when he was just starting to get on the mat. He won a submission only match down here in Tampa called the Zapatero. And he won like 10 grand, and they kept winning that. And him and Eddie Cummings and Gary and all those guys kept winning things out here.
All back when the original Death Squad with like John Calliston. Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
Oh man, we've seen the sport change. Like jiu-jitsu has changed more radically in such a short span of time than I think any other sport.
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's grown, and it's still. It's sad because in our mind it's everything, but in the reality of things, it's very very tiny. And what what do
people actually care about?
What do people actually care about? Right.
Tom Brady's going to be the best quarterback for until 50 years after we're dead. Like
I'd love to have jiu-jitsu grow at least to a point where it's like appealing enough that people that stay up late night and watch like freaking strongman competitions or dumbass archery shows at 4 a.m. will be like, hey, let's watch this jiu-jitsu thing. This is pretty cool. Then you get a little following like that. I see every right for Kasai or maybe one of these other bigger events to be able to be on that.
It's funny.
ESPN,
I was talking to my buddy. I was talking about to my buddy Tristan, who's like he comes from like a traditional martial arts background, like Muay Thai. But all like Kyokushin, Shotokan karate, like Taekwondo. And he talked a lot about, his family, his mom immigrated here from the Philippines, coming into the martial arts boom of like the 80s and 90s. Like jiu-jitsu never had that. We're kind of getting it with like, oh, John Wick does jiu-jitsu or like
when Bruce Lee was on top of the world and everybody was watching Kung Fu movies,
I think they were able to set the tone. They had so much control over the messaging, and jiu-jitsu's like too new. It's never gotten that. It's never been able to just sort of dominate a space in the way that like traditional
But I will tell
did.
you this, the UFC as it continues to dominate for viewership and for an audience, it will start to promote and start to make MMA schools, which are essentially jiu-jitsu schools, start to grow too. And we're starting to see that a lot. You see a lot of people coming in. They're like, oh, I watch the UFC. I want to know how to do that shit. And then they start doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
anyway, let's talk.
The 2 days.
I got
UFC.
I'm running a little bit. You want to talk about the UFC? Let's do it because I got about another.
Yeah, just like rapid. We're going to talk about Volkanovski, Nunes, and Covington.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. You know, maybe we can have Avery on next week and talk about that. I want to have her Avery. I always want to have Avery on. Maybe we can have her on and talk about that article.
Boss.
Avery's our boss, the editor in chief of the Jiu-Jitsu Times. I've had more freaking. I've never actually met her or spoken to her on the phone. I just send her Facebook messages all the time. So I
got the chance to meet her. I got the chance to meet her and Kim. Yeah, she gave me my job. I basically like DM'd her one day and was like, "Hey, I just graduated and I need a job."
Emil might be a good guest too. Emil Fisher would be a good guest.
Can you spell?
Yeah. I've had him on my other podcast.
If we ever have Emil, I'll wear my rainbow gi, my tie-dye gi. So I could be like Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat because that's the most colorful man in jiu-jitsu right there.
Well, let's get Avery on. I want to get Avery on this thing eventually. We'll do that. Let's talk about this fight. Come on, I got about.
Yeah. So right off the bat, Nunes, best of all time for all time.
Yeah, I think this fight solidified that.
Here's the weird thing. The last 4 fights could have probably solidified that. Like,
I'll tell you why.
Her last 4 fights: Holly Holm,
right.
Jermaine Durandame, Cyborg, and then was it right after that was Rousey, or right before that?
Rousey was in there somewhere. Yeah. So
there was another Hall of Famer in there. I don't know. Like,
Miesha Tate. I think she might have fought Miesha Tate too in there somewhere. I think, but I don't know for sure. I think. Yeah, I think she beat Miesha Tate for the titles. I think what she did, didn't she? Because Miesha Tate beat Holly Holm, and I think Nunes beat Miesha Tate. So I think she was in that list.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, the reason why I say that this fight really solidified Amanda Nunes' greatness is because this is a fight she didn't just go out there and walk through somebody with. And I always say this about great fighters. It's very difficult to tell somebody they're this great fighter when they've never really been through a war, because you can never really know, like, well, what would have happened if somebody would have caught him? What would have happened if they would have had to face some adversity? Are they really just this supreme athletic specimen, or do they have that championship heart to push them through the hard times when you have the ebb and flow of an actual prize fight that goes back and forth between another very very dangerous opponent? And in this fight on Saturday night, we got to see that because this girl, I forget her name. She was solid. She was really good. She had great striking. Jermaine, right. She had great striking. Yeah. Now, Nunes played a smart fight, and I think she won most of the rounds with her wrestling. But she was hurt quite a few times. She was in that crazy submission, that triangle. It was almost lights out. I thought she might have gone out with that. And then, the girl, what's her name? I forgot. Durand. She was not stopping. She kept coming. So every time Nunes would give her a little bit and think she could take a break, this girl was like, hell no, I'm bringing the fight and I'm coming for you. Now, her ground game from the bottom could have been a little bit better, but Nunes is a freaking world champion jiu-jitsu athlete. So you're in trouble. You're in trouble regardless. But I think when you talk about what things that really make like special fighters like great and even more spectacular are when you see him in fights that early test their determination, when they have to show that championship heart. Like an example would have been John Jones when he fought Vitor Belfort. He got his arm broke in the middle of the fight. At that point, John Jones is rolling through everybody, murdering everybody. He actually got caught in that arm bar, almost got his arm broke, had to suck it up, fight through a bunch of adversity, ends up winning by the knockout. You see those things and you really say, okay, this isn't just some guy that's going to win a couple fights with his athleticism. This is a real, true like champion.
I just want to say, this is probably my bias, but there's a theory that Vitor felt the break happen and sort of eased up on it, and that's what allowed John to continue the fight. But I could just be a hater right now, so but I understand what you're saying,
right?
Like that. Yeah, but you see that, like for me, like obviously McGregor's crowning achievement is going to be, I think no matter what he did, like the champ, I don't think that matters as much as dethroning Aldo.
Oh yeah, that was without question the biggest moment in the history of freaking Conor McGregor's life when he beat freaking.
At the time, it was like one of the biggest things in MMA.
Right.
Like full stop. But I think if you ask a lot of people, his performance against Chad Mendes,
Yes, that was
the
a good
fight
one.
before,
That was a good one. When
infinitely more impressive, just because he was dealing with a guy like, yeah. To be fair, Mendes didn't have a full camp, but it was very clear that Mendes was better than McGregor on the ground.
Right.
Like,
And
he
got
had
caught in
taken
that
down a few
guillotine
times.
and kind of had to squirm his way out
Yeah.
of it. It was like mental toughness and resolution. And
and
again,
then he got the knockout.
I watched that fight, and you're right, but it's sad because I think of Chad Mendes in full, and this is just fate, because I think Chad Mendes at full capacity at that point in his career probably kills Conor McGregor. But it was, in Conor McGregor's defense, he took on a short notice opponent, and got what he got. All of a sudden, he's fighting a big time wrestler, and he beat him. Every time he had a fight against a real legitimate wrestler, something would be amiss. Like Chad Mendes, he's got 2 weeks to train. Like Jose Dos Santos, breaks his foot and can't come out and compete. So he kind of got lucky in that regard to his meteoric rise, because I think his wrestling was very suspect for a while. And now he's so good at everything. He's been training for a while. He's a special athlete that doesn't make a difference. Anyway, I also think that
does McGregor still have that weird movement coach guy, Ito Portal? Like that was his big. Like for a long time, Conor wouldn't be anywhere without Ito, and now you can't. Like he's nowhere. Like he dumped him.
I think that he's Moroccan, by the way. Somebody told me that the other night. This guy I know is from the same village he's from. I think that. Oh no, he's not. No, not Moroccan. He's Israeli. Anyway, whatever. That's a big difference. Maybe I should probably make that distinction. I don't want to offend anybody. So what I saw, like coming from a striking background as a boxing coach, I boxed for a long time, and I teach boxing and stuff like that. The idea of capturing that chi in your movement and staying balanced and allowing your body to move more efficiently and more fluidly when you move, I think is a very underrated aspect of athleticism, weight distribution, and being able to move back and forth. And I think that some of the stuff that Conor does really shows through, because when you look at his balance and you look at his ability to be able to stay strong and move in and out and flow with things and be explosive, comes from his ability to maintain and feel that balance point throughout the entirety of his athleticism. So.
That's true. There is that video of him like kicking candles, like out, and like he's on the balls of his feet and he's doing all this like Shaolin stuff. Okay, but we're getting off topic.
Yeah, right,
so
right. Sorry.
Goat. She is the goatiest goat to ever goat in MMA. I think.
So too, man. Yeah, we'll see. She's got a little ways to go. You got to win. You got to win a little more. You got to be on top of the game for a little while longer before we start talking about that. But I don't know who's going to beat her.
Okay, now you sound like a Gordon Ryan hater.
No,
right?
no, I'm not.
So...
I'm being facts are facts. I think when you talk about being the greatest of all time, it's something. It can't be something that's a small window. It has to be over a long course of time. You have to be able to say, I wasn't just a champion. Now you can say things about that might have been the best person to ever do it, but you can't really say that they were the greatest of all time, because they don't have that. One of the things that I really take into account is being the greatest of all time is longevity, and they're able to do it over an extended period of time. I mean, and if you're not doing that, I don't really think you'd be called the GOAT. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely get that. So like once a significant correlate, like a significant number of both like years and also title defenses have passed, like that'll exactly. There's an it's not like an equation, but if people like are just sort of like, wow, you're still the champion, you're still on top, it's been this long,
right?
Like,
that's when you start.
Yeah, I guess you're. Yeah, you're it. And that's the
Johnson,
thing is like,
but also 13-0 or something like that, I think is what he went.
But also, here's the thing: is quality of competition, because Jose beat some of the best, but once you look at his career post Conor, that longevity is starting to wear. Right. He lost a split decision in his most recent fight. A lot of people say he got robbed, but it was like he went from being undefeated for 10 years to be like losing, those decisions. Granted, it was in a new weight class. He was figuring a lot of stuff out. But I think that's where the longevity argument comes in. And that's why people like George St. Pierre are so unique, because they left the game and then came back. Right. Captured a title.
And you think about those things, those extenuating circumstances when you think about true greatness, like Roger Gracie. How how can you possibly compare someone else as the greatest of all time? And then whatever. I'm not saying Gordon's not the greatest, because I think he's going to be the greatest jiu-jitsu athlete of all time eventually. But how can you not look at someone like Roger Gracie, who dominated the sport forever, really didn't compete for fucking 3 years, comes back in, goes against the murderer that murders everyone, that took over for Roger Gracie as the greatest of all time, is kind of like the one to say who's the best, and went out and actually like murked him, like didn't even made it look easy against probably at the time the greatest guy in the young, strong, athletic Buchecha. I mean, that was one of the most amazing things I think I've ever seen, not just in jiu-jitsu and probably in all of athleticism. I mean, it's very underrated and untalked about. Like, it's amazing what he did.
For a while, I tried to justify how out of shape I was with a picture of Roger Gracie, and this is all the respect in the world to the Gracie family. This is the best. This is one of the best athletes of all time. He's got like a dad bod. Like, he looks like a lanky, sort of normal dude, and
he's like 9 feet tall, though.
Oh, he's so long.
He's so long.
He's so long.
He's so long and
so
tall.
Long and
I
tall.
did a seminar with
long and tall. Roger, long and tall Gracie.
So let's move it on. I really got to get going. Let's talk about what do we got?
Holloway
fight. Yeah, what a great fight.
Holloway.
The Covington fight was
end of the blessed era.
Right.
Yeah.
The blessed era. Wow. That's
it was
true. Volkanovski had a great game plan.
Though.
He had a great game plan. He went out and he attacked him and brought it to Holloway, and he was so strong with those leg kicks. He was crushing Holloway's legs with those leg kicks, which were keeping Holloway from being able to use his best asset, which is his mobility. He's like, his striking is good, but it all comes off of him moving and creating angles. And because Volkanovski was crushing that leg with inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks, it took away a lot of Holloway's ability to move, and then Volkanovski would just beat him to the punch. Time and time again. It
was very clearly like the perfect execution of a plan that was discussed. You know, like it was almost like Bisping's corner talking about like going for that left jab because he drops his arm. Right. Like, and that he did that tell over and over again. And if like he was able to get in some shots, and then he got the KO. He was sticking to the script so well. I hope that doesn't sound like I'm disrespecting. It was beautiful to watch.
No,
because he was getting in there with Holloway in a way we haven't like seen.
No. Yeah, no one beats Holloway. No one beats Holloway to the punch. No one outstrikes Holloway. He outstruck Holloway by God, like fucking. If they showed the strike numbers, it was ridiculous. It was almost like 20%, 30%. He outstruck Holloway by, which is unheard of. And you know, Volkanovski's great.
Like when you think about like he had from his Ortega fight, I think he had like the record for most significant strikes landed before Colby, or like before Colby did Robbie Lawler. I think that took that. But
well, let's finish it up there. Let's talk about the Colby Usman fiasco, or not fiasco. Amazing fight. I thought it was a great fight. I thought it was awesome.
How now because we're going to focus on how amazing Kamaru is. Let's just talk about the fact that how hard is it to do anything with a broken jaw?
Oh God, I don't know. When did his jaw get broken? Did they say it got
broken in the third?
In the third round,
I'm pretty sure it got broken at the end of the third, and he ended up winning the fourth.
I thought that fight was even. I thought that Colby might have been leading. They said that he was leading on the scorecards going into the final round. I think he was getting the better at this one for the most part, which is hard to tell because in a fight like that, it was like in a fight like that, neither one of them looked like they were like they were really doing much more than the other. It was kind of a lot of. I mean, it was an awesome fight and fun to watch, but it was a difficult fight to score. But I think that Covington probably was doing a little bit more than Usman was, to tell you the truth. Even though he got his jaw broken in the fucking third round. That's tough, man. God, that's tough. And I guess adrenaline gets you through it, but like, I don't want to do that shit.
I mean, like I came away with a lot of respect for Colby just because that's just rough. And you know, like obviously there's a irony to it, you know, that a lot of people came in with like, oh wow, the shit talker can't talk shit anymore. And yeah, and obviously, like they're both there to fight. But I gotta say he backed up his guts by going out there and literally I was sure he was gonna sit. He sat on the bench and he told his coaches, I think I broke my jaw. I assumed that he meant he was like, oh, he's done, right? And he's like, nope, I'm gonna keep going. Just wanted you guys to know.
Like, I broke my jaw. He definitely deserves our applaud for being an amazing, tough freaking guy. You know, he fought his ass off against a super tough dude in a very tough fight that I think if would have went the distance, probably would have won. So let's talk. Speaking of that, let's talk a few minutes about that stoppage in the 5th round. I think it was close. It was only like 10 seconds left or something. No, it was a little bit more than that, but it was definitely in the 5th round.
It was towards the end. Yeah,
it was towards the end. Real quick though, so to start that, to talk a little bit more about that, like Kobe was a little bit upset about the poor officiating, and I was watching the fight at a place that didn't have a bar, that didn't have the audio on, so I couldn't hear a lot of what the commentators are saying. But I'll tell you that there were a couple instances where the referee stopped the fight for Usman that I thought may have been a little bit questionable. May have been a little more pain from strikes and should have allowed them to go on instead of low blows and or eye pokes. And Covington kind of noticed that too. So he was pretty upset about the fact he thought that they were giving Usman an opportunity to recover when he didn't really deserve it.
I would say I think the one eye poke I caught, because I was watching the Wi-Fi at my house was pretty garbage, so it was cutting in and out a little bit, but I remember seeing one eye poke from from Kobe that looked like, ooh, that looks like it was an eye poke, and it was I think it was in the 3rd round. I can understand why he would be annoyed, but also it's an eye poke. You don't play around with that, especially Look at Anthony Rumble Johnson. His eyes have almost been gouged out, both of them, several times.
And that's an unfortunate thing. It's not like it's unfortunate that it had to stop the action, but it doesn't say when you stop the action. It says if you get poked in the eye, then you stop the action. That's it. It doesn't matter that you're already hurt and injured. Which I think that maybe referees need to make that judgment call a little bit better. But I can understand. I don't think they were definitely pokes from what I saw. It definitely wasn't a legitimate stoppage. Even the low blow, it wasn't great, but it was, maybe Usman was handling it up a little bit. But I don't know, man. Sometimes you just get your balls grazed. That shit hurts. It doesn't take much.
Oh my God. Every white belt knows the feeling that, I'm never going to get arm bars because I think I need to crush my genitals in order to finish it. Right. And I just no one's explaining to me why that's not the case. But Kamaru, his gas tank really just blew me away. The fact
I was impressed
that he was able to,
because Covington, we all know Covington can do it.
He was landing some bombs.
We all know Covington's not going to
specifically
stop.
Those uppercuts.
Yeah.
No.
Big punches. Y'all know Covington's going to keep coming. Man, he was landing a couple of nice uppercuts, and Usman is just he's just a beast, man. He wasn't letting it go. And again, you get an appreciation for what a championship heart he has. All 3 of these fights that were the last 3 fights, Nunez, Holloway, and then the Usman fight, Volkanovski fight, and Usman at the end, were all true amazing prize fights because you don't get to see a knockout. It's not going to be a finish. It's not finishes are fun and they're cool and they get the crowds going into it. But in my opinion, sometimes watching a fight that doesn't really have a finish and maybe even have as many big time knockdowns, but still has the definable notion of guys doing damage to one another, and you can see actively the ebb and flow of a fight. One fighter kind of moving up a little bit, and this guy's saying, "Oh hell no, man! I'm going to show you what I got. I ain't going down like that." And it kind of hebs back this way, and you never really are watching, and the action goes. You understand, and you can see. You might not be able to score it in your mind, but you can feel the tempo. You can feel that. What do they call it? The freaking momentum going.
The flow.
The
stoppage. I would right off the bat. I would say I think I agreed with it. But also I fully understand that had it not happened, there is a good there's a non-zero chance that Colby turtles up, rides out the round. You like maybe gets guard, like breaks down posture, and it gets the win via decision.
Yeah,
But
I agree with
don't
you
know.
too, man.
He looked rocked.
I tell you, man. Again, it's funny. We were watching the damn fight. We watched the whole damn fight all the way up until the 5th round of the last fight, and the damn internet went out. We freaking missed it. I missed the TKO. I was super pissed. I didn't see it until it came off my damn phone. I was like, oh! Everybody was all mad. But when I watched it again the next day or later that night when I saw the replay, like I was Kobe, like it was a good stoppage. The first shot was clean, and you went down. So that's one already accumulating damage. Then you got caught again and went down again. Boom. Then you're on the ground, covered up, getting punched repeatedly, not answering punches while you're on the ground, covering yourself. Unfortunately, that's ground for a stoppage, particularly after you've already been rocked twice. The referee's looking at you, and his only concern is your safety at this point. And I watched it. And I thought to myself, yeah, that was a solid stoppage based upon the circumstances. It's unfortunate, but hey, man,
I do think that this is in a post Mario Yamasaki world. I think that if this had happened before his big like public issues with stopping fights too late,
right?
I think that the ref might have been. I think was it Mark Goddard that was calling the fight.
Yeah,
I think he was been a little okay with letting it go and seeing what happens. Also, Ben Askren has made me question when it is and is not okay to stop a fight, because that however bad this
Robbie Lawler fight.
However bad this was, I would maintain that no fight has like been allowed to go on has turned around from a judge probably incorrectly allowing the fight to go on than Ben Askren versus Robbie Lawler. That. I thought that was over in 5 seconds. I thought that was over in like 15 seconds.
I'll tell you. Right
after the slam.
I'll tell you the difference between the two. Okay, and this is where the rules start to become murky and gray, and they start to become into the human account or humans, whatever, intuition or whatever the word I'm looking for. So Herb Dean is without question the best referee in mixed martial arts. He's the man. He knows these things better than anybody. So when you're watching the Robbie Lawler Ben Askren fight and you see Ben Askren get knocked out and almost get broken in the first round, you have to remember the gravity of the fight. This is the fight for Ben Askren to come out and show the world how great he is. I think it was his first UFC fight.
First UFC fight.
First ever UFC fight. So you take in that into account. You take into account that it's still the first round. This is the first interaction they've had together. And then you also take into account that it was kind of a freakish situation. So when you put all those factors into account and you think about what's going on and the fact that it's Ben Askren, Herb Dean's well aware of Ben Askren's former fights. He knows he's got a good chin. You look at that and you think to yourself, oh God, it's so close to fight. But because of the gravity of all of these things involved, you don't want to take this guy's shot away over things that may or may not have been a slip, blah, 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 blah. And then unfortunately, of course, in the end, there's the questionable submission decision, which, again, in my opinion, we don't have to debate this one because everybody's beat it up. I think it was the right call. I think Robbie Lawler was out. I think his hand dropped down. I think Herb Dean asked him repeatedly to show he could show a sign of being okay, and he never did. And that's that. When you take that, right, and when you take that, you talk about Usman's fight and Kobe Covington, like it's at the end of the fight. Covington's absorbing a tremendous amount of fucking damage throughout the course of the entirety of the fight. He's already
everyone knows his jaw's broken.
Yeah, everybody knows his jaw's broken.
Everyone knew his jaw was broken.
The ref looks at that and he thinks, okay, man, unfortunately, enough is enough, because that's when guys really get hurt. Guys really get hurt when they have long fights of continued abuse that they kind of push through and think they're okay because their heart is too strong to let them quit. That's when guys really get hurt. All right, little homie.
Well, listen, you gotta head out.
I gotta head out. I'm already going.
Got a lot done. Yeah, but this has been episode 5 of the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast. I have been your host, Kevin Bradley.
I'm Kevin Gallagher.
There it is.
Good night, everybody. Good show today, too. I think we did it right, man. All right,